Hello and welcome to the session of Talking Tech, Women's and Girls in ICT. My name is Adhishree Acharya and I am currently pursuing my bachelor's degree in computer engineering in Nepal. And today I'm very delighted to be having a discussion about tech and tech careers with Miss Jessica Valencia, who is currently serving as a head of communication at Unlock NYC. So before we begin, I would like to quickly introduce the Talking Tech series to our audiences on YouTube. Talking Tech series is a series celebrating girls and women in tech. It's being recorded around the world between Girls in ICT Day 2020 and Girls in ICT Day 2022. Girls in ICT Day is an international day marked on the fourth Thursday of each April. The objective is to help create a global environment that it encourages young women to consider studies and careers in the fields of ICT. The Talking Tech series is brought to you by ITU, UNICC, and the Office of a UN Secretary General's Envoy on Youth, and is in support of Equals, the global partnership for gender equality in the digital age. Uh, before proceeding with our formal interview, I would like to welcome Jessica to the Talking series. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, how are you?
I am fine. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for taking the time to interview me. It's an honor. I'm really excited to be here tonight.
Yeah, to start things off, would you mind introducing yourself a little bit to our audience?
Sure. Hi everyone. My name is Jessica. I serve as the head of communications at Unlock NYC. Unlock NYC is a tech nonprofit led by mostly women of color who have faced housing discrimination throughout their housing search with a rental subsidy. A rental subsidy in the United States is basically sort of like assistance that tenants get from the government when they're facing an eviction or they are at risk of homelessness. Our apps that we have designed with tenants in mind, specifically voucher holders, help voucher holders identify, document, and report these instances to various agencies that we work with, such as CCHR, which is the Commission of Human Rights in New York City, and other government agencies that we're able to connect them with. We also assist voucher holders in learning how to, advocate for themselves. They learn about their rights. We host monthly workshops. We have marketing literature through various social media platforms and also in print. And we do a lot of in event tabling and
Yeah.
resource fairs where tenants can learn about our tools and also ask us any questions. um, yeah. I think I talked a little
Yeah, that's completely fine. Um, like since you said that you've been involved in technology, I would love to know how you get started. What was the factor that motivated you to get into it, and when you started it in the beginning, like the time period you started it at the beginning.
So my background is not in tech.
Oh,
My background is in fashion and sales. I worked for many years in the fashion industry. I hated it. I will never go back. And I found myself just being feeling unfulfilled, like not having a purpose. And I've always been very purpose driven. I just didn't know what my purpose was when I was younger. Sometimes, it takes time for each individual. I took some time off to focus on my family and became a mother. Then there was a very life changing event in my life that led me to this amazing organization. Um, I started out sort of from personal experience. I found myself also facing discrimination. And I met this wonderful collective, our co founders. They are women that are organizers, engineers, designers. So it was amazing to be involved in this movement where they are building technology for Black and Brown communities here in the United States that are facing sort of this tech disparity. They don't have the same access to apps that they're able to use to seek justice. And I think it's so important to fight evil tech with good tech, right?
yes, actually, yeah.
I think there's definitely this whole image of tech being evil, which obviously we know there's a bad side to tech. But the alternative is organizations like ours, where we really focus on using tech for good. And we focus on using tech to help tenants advocate for themselves and hopefully reach housing justice. Housing justice can be completely different for each individual. For some people, it could be meaning they get housed. For some people, it means they report because they want to make a change, because they don't want other individuals to go through the same things that they face. So yeah, that's how I
Uh,
got into it.
that's yeah, that's really commendable to hear. So so I was wondering why people in New York face this sort of discrimination while searching for their house. Like what is the main reason? uh, is it something
Yeah,
related to government, or like there is something that is perceived in people's mind that don't allow them to like give rents to people, sort of.
it's a complex issue. As you
Oh,
know, we in the U.S. there is a high housing crisis, and I think right now majority of the world is facing some sort of like housing instability because of the rising cost of living, inflation. New York City, has some of the highest like rental market apartments, and housing is really expensive. And sort of like a solution to like help people not be at risk of homelessness has been to give them vouchers. But what has happened is that landlords and brokers, real estate agents, do not want to work with tenants, because there is a stigma around individuals that receive public assistance. They are
oh,
looked down as second
oh,
class citizens. There is also sort of like the government issue where sometimes the process of getting payment to a landlord or just even applying for an apartment may be a bit conflicting because the agencies that are assigned to help these tenants may not be fully staffed. So sort of like bureaucratic issues from within may like prolong the process of an application or payment. And some landlords and brokers may feel like, hey, I want to rent to somebody who can pay me right away. I don't want to have to wait months to get my tenant to pay. So it's a whole layer of complexity behind it. There's also a racial issue as well. A lot of folks in New York City that have a voucher come from Black and Brown communities. So sort of like the racial and the source of income discrimination, which is
yeah.
what's New York City sort of like interlock. But those are sort of like some of the layers that I can definitely explain to you why it's
It's
such an issue here. Yeah.
okay. So I would love to know what is the thing that excites you most about technology. Like, uh, okay, like okay, you can begin.
Oh, no, you don't go on. What? What excites me most about tech?
Yeah, yeah.
I think I mentioned it earlier. I think tech has such a horrible reputation of being like very like capitalistic and having some questionable tactics. I think we are sort of like counterattacking that narrative, which is, we are a nonprofit, we are a collective. We're not doing this for profit. We're doing this because we care and we want to make a change and we want people to be housed. Most importantly, people need shelter, people need
Yeah.
housing. Without that is like literally the foundation of real life. Children cannot thrive without housing. Human beings cannot thrive without housing. And it's a basic human right. I feel like I feel it should be a human right, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's questionable because some people may be like, well, no, not everybody deserves housing. And I'm like, no, you're crazy.
No,
Like,
yeah, everybody deserves housing, right?
yes, everyone deserves housing. So I think it's sort of like fighting that negative tech narrative and also wanting to make an impact in our communities.
Okay, that's great to hear. Um, okay, so basically, there are like questions that are related to tech, and you are more sort of like like you are more sort of attracted towards making an impact through technology. So like I'm not getting the sort of questions that I should be asking you, right? That's funny.
No, these are all great questions. I think you're doing great. I think you're doing great.
Like there are no questions, like you are just trying to make impact through technology. And here the question that I've been provided with is something that deals with like some like not impact with technology, but they mainly focus on technology more than making impacts on societies. And also it's kind of um yeah, and now I'm speaking Nepali too. That is funny.
No, don't worry. Don't worry about it. I think it's going great. But what was your next question that you're gonna ask? I'm sorry.
Since your life has been an impressive journey, you might have felt that very moment like it has been impressive throughout, but there must be one moment where you felt like, oh, I did something and I'm very proud of myself. So what was that moment for you?
So interesting story. When I started out on Lock, we didn't have much resources or funding. I had just come back from giving birth to my twins, who are now 18 months old. And at that time, I was only part-time. I wasn't a full-time team member. And it was just, at that moment, it was myself and our co-founder, Ashley Eberhardt, and two other team members who were also joining us like part-time. And I remember her and I just like really working so hard. Some nights like till really late. I would be staying up to like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I had like my twins who are like 6 months old crying in the room and just alternating between the role of like, I have a career and this is super important to me, but I also have the role of mother, which to me is the most important role I've ever had in my life. So there was those moments where like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? But I did it.
Yeah.
And we were able to raise enough funding to bring on 4 full-time staff members, 2 part-time staff members, have interns. And it was just an amazing feeling to be able, I think many times like we're told that women can't work or have children and have a family and have a husband. And I think that is just a crock of BS. I think women can do it all. It takes a support system. And that's something that we lack within our work culture. We're either told like you either have to come immediately to work and sacrifice time away from your children, or you're told like, oh no, you have to be a career, forget about family
and children.
Which I think it's also ridiculous, right? So I found myself, my biggest challenge, and it is still a challenge, is finding sort of work-life balance between my family, my children, my role as head of communications at Unlock, and not feeling burnt out by all of it, because it's sometimes really hard to find time for myself. I'm always busy, and I don't mean that like I'm always busy. Like, so, like my time is like very valuable, but it's very, it's like very little dosages that I get nowadays. But I think that's my biggest challenge, and I think that's a major challenge for a lot of working women. Like, how do they balance it all?
Yeah. But you were able to do that thing, and that's very impressive. Like managing work life as well as your family and children is sort of a tough task for women to do, right?
It is. I'm very lucky to have to be in an environment where like my colleagues were very supportive. I work remotely, mostly from home.
Yeah.
So it gives me the flexibility to be around my children, but also focus on my work and not having to like commute or leave them like at a daycare or not knowing what they're doing all day. Because that's also very stressful for me as a mother of young babies. I mean, they're 18 months. Like I don't want to miss out on the most important. I mean, every stage is important, but babyhood is extremely important, and I don't want to miss out on those moments either. So I've been very lucky to be in this organization that supports my role as a mother.
So how are your children right now? Like, how are they fine?
They fight a lot. Well, they're toddlers, so they're 18 months. My daughter's very feisty and she's full of energy, and my son, he's very loving and just nurturing and kind, and they're amazing. But it's definitely it's a handful. It's a lot. So I give it to women who are like doing it all. I don't know how. I mean, I've just been doing it for 18 months. I would love to know more about like what really drives you as a human being. Like how did you get involved in this program, and like where do you foresee yourself in the next couple of years? Not necessarily like a plan, but like what would be your ideal sort of like work,
ideal sort of. So basically, I'm just trying to explore myself these days, and I just, like I want to be something in my life. Like I have a purpose in my life that I want to achieve, and uh, uh, as you mentioned that, where do I see in myself in couple of years? I feel like in some technological sector where I'll be working as a data scientist or something like that to bring positive impact in communities, like, working with those data to help create a pattern so that, to solve the human problems sort of thing. So that is what I perceive myself as.
Is there like a specific problem in like within, let's say in Nepal, that you feel needs to be addressed, that you would like to use tech to help people?
Like it's like women in Nepal, they are more sort of hesitated to join the technological area. They think that it's something that is ruled by male, and they cannot compete with them in some sectors like that. And then, so through technology, I would love to be an example for them, that they can do things like that, and they can also like be a part of ever expanding tech universe. They can also like they can also be a part of like not only using technology but creating one. So that is what I think.
So you're interested in like creating like apps and
yeah. So currently
yeah.
I am like there are semester projects in our colleges, and we are asked to like do different sort of things in different semesters. So this time we are trying to like build a browser browser like that is more sort of oriented towards students, and like having different extensions, so that you don't have to like go to like different browsers to seek help from, and we are just trying to merge everything into the same browser. And yeah yeah, I'm also doing a project that is related to making an app. So that is like mental health assistance app kind of thing.
I love that. That's amazing. And how would the app work? Like what sort of services would it give users?
So it will be like, we are actually on the process of making it. Like there was actually a hackathon, and we proposed that idea, but we are not selected, sadly. And so we'll be working on it later on also. So the app mainly deals with the process of helping you to write down your emotions, so that and it also suggests you like if you are feeling something negative, or if there is something not good that is going on with you, the app will suggest you to sort of like uh, you know uh, uh, it will suggest you, it will guide you through yoga sort of things, meditation sort of things. And then it will also there will be a progress bar which help you to record the progress that you have made so far during the journey. And we have thought of incorporating AI bots to help you to share your emotions, not only write down, but you can explain to them how you feel about things that are going on in your life. So
I love that. Where did that inspiration come from?
There are like technologies, like these technologies are already there. Majority of those, these features are already included in majority of the apps, but they all are like, they ask people to pay for those things. And so we wanted to make it free, because health is something you should not be paying for, I suppose. Like, it is
Mm.
mandatory to have like good health. It is your basic right, so why not?
I love that. That's very innovative. You sound like you are a social entrepreneur in the making, right? Because it's not about profit, it's about the impact that you make into
Yeah,
your community. And I do agree. These sort of like services should be free for people. Like, why should we be paying for something that's like that is a basic human right?
yeah,
Um, Especially your mental health, which is something that we tend to overlook.
yeah,
Uh, at times because we feel we may not have someone to talk to about it, or we may not have time because we're so consumed by work and other capitalistic systems that do
yeah,
not allow us to really like, be
yeah.
one with ourselves.
It's like, sometimes the person looks completely fit and fine from outside, but maybe he's battling with like turmoils of emotions from within, and we cannot see that things, right? So, there should be a way to expose, to express those things. And we cannot always seek help from other people, but yeah, it is good to seek help from other people, but all people, it is not necessary that all people are open to such, such gestures. So we've thought of, why not create an app that help you explore yourself, um, from inside. So that is.
That's amazing though. I really love that idea. And yeah, you're right. Not everyone may be open to talking about their issues or accepting help from somebody else, right? So if they have the access to an app, which
Yeah,
is directly from their phone, that's much easier. Like there's not much that you really would have to do. So yeah, I like that. I like that convenience of having that available instead of having to constantly call my therapist. There's nothing wrong with your therapist, right? Like I mean, I honestly am a big voucher for therapy. Like I do it myself. I think everyone should at some
yeah,
point for some sort of, like introspection. Uh, but yeah, like I mean, it'd be nice to have something like that on your phone.
yeah. uh, I hope it works. I hope we could do that. We could build an app to help society. Yeah.
It's awesome. I love that.
Do you have any role model that inspired you to be what you are today? Or you're yourself your role model?
I've definitely got a role model. I don't necessarily like have one person, but I've always been very much attracted to women who are powerful or emit sort of like that powerful aura. Um, I think it's really inspiring to see women fight and vouch for themselves and advocate for themselves and really live the lives that they choose to live. Yeah, and I just love badass, powerful women.
Yeah,
I think I don't think there's just like one person in history. I think there's so many women in history that has led to that point. Um, I think lately I've been obviously like now a mother of twins, and as much as I love my sons, I think having a daughter has changed my perspective about motherhood.
yeah.
And I definitely look up to her personality. She is only 18 months old, but she's so confident and like she loves to explore and learn new things. And she has sort of like this little bad attitude at times, but it's okay. Her expressing her emotion. But it's just when my daughter walks into any room, she just owns it. And like I don't
Uh,
ever want to diminish that fire in her. And I wish I would have had that confidence when I was younger or her age. I don't know where she gets this, like I don't know, like she just walks into a room and she's like, I own this room and everyone is gonna do what I'm saying. Obviously, I don't want her to be a dictator, but I just love that confidence, and I want to keep building that confidence as she grows older.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, actually. And
It is, I think from my perspective, like growing up, my mother was very different. I think she was more stern and very strict. And yes, I do believe in being stern. I'm extremely stern with my children at times when I have to be. But I think it's also important to let them be and explore themselves and respect their space as well, because they are also human beings. They have rights and they matter. So I don't think I'll ever want to diminish my children's personality. I think if anything, I want to help them cultivate it even more as they get
yeah.
older.
Hey, after having this conversation with you, I feel like you would be the coolest mom in the world.
I think I'm definitely like a cool mom. I would be like, yeah, take time off. I honestly, I do believe that adults should take time off. Like, I think there is this pressure of us, like when we graduate, high school. In Nepal, do you call it high school? Do you call it like
uh, uh, we
primary
call
school?
uh, we call it, like, if we are in university, we say that we are university graduated. And
Okay.
yeah, we use high school for like 11 and 12.
Okay. So here, it's just like in Nepal, we call it high school. And like, I feel like once you graduate high school, there's this like expectation and pressure of being like, you have to know what you're doing with your life. You have to know what your major is. You have to know this, and that, which I believe is important. Like, I do believe it's important to have a plan, but not all your plans are going to turn out to be how you exactly planned it to be.
Yeah,
And I've always said it, like when I have children, I will let them know, hey, like, take a year off before you go into college. Don't just jump into something without realizing the responsibility that comes along with it. If you want to go and work, go work for a year, go travel for a year, find yourself. So then when you find yourself fully ready to be immersed in school, then you can really focus on that. And I feel like that's something that we lack as a society. It's like we're always like working, 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 working. It's like, when
yeah,
do you live, right?
yeah.
I work too a lot, but I also live. Like, I also, I enjoy my time with my children and my role as a mother, as a partner. I think those are important things in life too. Like that time that you spend with your family, with your friends. I don't know. I
Af-
definitely try to have a work-life balance, so that's definitely key for me.
yeah, after all, we all are social human beings, so it is
Yeah, we're
necessary
not
for, yeah,
robots.
yeah. Yeah,
No, no. I definitely tell people take time off, because if you don't, you'll be completely burnt out. And that's something that you don't want to do when you are, let's say, an entrepreneur and you are running an organization, or you have a startup, or you're working on like on apps. Like, there will be moments where you will feel burnt out.
yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to avoid.
So what are your biggest life lessons you've learned so far, being in technology or in any other sectors in your life? So
That's a
that
great
some
question.
sort of thing that inspires you to like move on, to go on, to try on new things, you know?
I will too. I think in the tech world, I realize how important it is to talk about financial literacy among women,
Yeah.
because women are underpaid, specifically as well in the tech world. Um, and this is a discussion that we had with our team members actually last year, where we talked about money. Money is always a very weird subject for women to talk about, because men are taught to be like, hey, yeah, we talk about money. It's a very comfortable, conversation. But women sometimes, I've noticed, maybe a little shy and may not want to speak up when it comes to proper compensation. Well, I threw that out the window. I was like, listen, we're going to talk about money, how much we
Oh,
deserve, our compensation, our salaries, our benefits. What does your ideal like financial dream life look like, right? And we sort of opened this conversation with everyone on the team, including our interns. We had summer interns, and they all talked about money and how money was viewed. So I think that sort of like inspiration and what I've learned in the tech world is like, speak up, ask for your proper compensation, and don't settle for less just because you're a woman or you're a woman of color. You deserve to be properly compensated, and don't be afraid to ask for a salary if it's within like the actual like limits. You know, I think sometimes we tend to go for lower salaries, and I'm like, no, if you have experience, if you have the education, if you have the drive, you have the work ethic, like, why am I going to settle for less? So talk about money is super important. Don't be afraid of it. And I think the second thing that I've learned as I've gotten older, and I think this is in general for my life, is the older that I get, the less that I know. You know, and that's not a bad thing, because you realize there is this whole world out there that you still haven't explored, and perspective and people and ideals that you don't know. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with just being, hey, I'm still a student at 30. I turned 35 on Monday. I'm still a student at 35 years old. I think when I was in my 20s, I thought I knew it all. And that's not it. I think it's, you know, realizing that sometimes you just have to sit back and listen and be a good listener and really be respectful and mindful of other people's perspectives and ideas. But yeah, definitely the older I get, the less I know. And I love that. I wouldn't change that for the world.
Yeah, actually life is a journey where you can learn in each and every moment. Like it's not about high school, it's not about university where you learn, but like there are like experiences from where you can get lessons from, right? So, and that is something that I'm always open to in my life. I can I can learn from small child to like different people in the world. So that is how it is.
I agree with you. Life has a way of like humbling you down.
Yeah, actually.
You know, and when you get knocked down, it's when you realize, okay, these are lessons that I have to take with me in my path and my journey. And that sometimes can be hard, but you either deal with it or you're going to keep suffering, and you don't want to be in that cycle, right?
So since this series is about girls and women in technology, do you have any career or tech advice for girls and younger women in tech?
I think, just to emphasize what I said earlier, I think it's important for us as women to be supportive of one another and create an environment where we can thrive. And when I mean an environment where we can thrive as women, specifically in tech, it means like having longer maternity leave for women if they choose to become mothers. It means having a flexible like work environment where you can work remotely or you can come into the office, having a work-life balance where you're not working 6 days straight, where, you know, right, for example, at Unlock we have a 4-day work week, so we only work from Monday to Thursday, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday we're off. And that was sort of one of the key things that we all agree, that we're like, no, we work hard, but we also want to spend time with our families and with our friends and like have interests, like have hobbies outside of like work. Hobbies are so important. I feel like they're like low key very underrated.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're so consumed by like work, school, work. There's more to life. Like life is so beautiful. There's so more to life than working. Obviously still work hard. So
so what is your hobby?
So lately, don't laugh at me. I sign up for like boxing classes. It's just like a once a week thing, but I feel like I need to like get back into like working out. It's so good for your mental health and for your physical health. And I feel like I have a lot of energy in me that it'd be really great to take it in something that's like physical and requires a lot of discipline and skill sets. So yeah, that's my new hobby for now.
That's great actually. Like something that teaches you to be to like something that teaches you for like self-defense, and that is nice actually. I
What are
mean,
your hobbies?
I love to travel, so that is something like traveling to new different places, where you get to meet people, you get to learn from them, you get to like like you get to explore the world that is not you can relate to, something that is so different from what you are living in. So that is what I love to do, traveling. Like
Where have you recently traveled to?
recently, like it's not common for like middle class family in Nepal to travel abroad, but I had got chance to go to Thailand and Singapore when I was a child. And
Really? Oh wow.
yeah, and that was like so, like that was so exciting, and at that time I got to explore the world that was way beyond my imagination, and like I could certainly feel the difference that time, like the world that I was living in and the world that I explored there. There's fun incident behind it. Like there is when I went to Singapore, to my brother's apartment, I got to like see something like that sort of came as a magic to me, but that was not the case. Like I saw some like bulb that glows when it senses a like human presence. It might sound funny to you, but like I was a
No,
child
it's
and I had not experienced that thing before, right? And and I was so amazed to see those things that we usually don't see. Like we have these things now in Nepal, but back then we didn't have those things. And then it was something like I could see something like I could see like it's the technology that is like that is improving, that is improvising, that is like ever expanding, and that is creating the ease and confidence for helping people to carry out even the basic things in their life. And then so that was the thing that motivated me to get into tech field, to invest myself in it. So so so
what is like life like for a young woman in Nepal? Like what is like the culture like?
uh, yeah, previously it was like you get education, um, you get education, you are financially stable, but then uh, though you are financially stable, there is always sort of like looking to your husband like somebody superior to you, or like uh, there was sort of thing like where women would feel like they are not as compatible, as equal as their husband. But the like with the change in time, with the change in a perspective of world, the women are becoming more like more independent these days. They look as they look to their husband like somebody they can live with, but not somebody they will be like to be, not somebody they want to be under with, sort of.
I could definitely resonate with that sort of mentality. My culture is very much like that too, where women have felt like second class citizens and their rights have not been respected, which I do agree is so important for women to have the education and the work experience. I don't think there's anything wrong with depending on your partner, right? We're all gonna as human beings, we're all gonna
Yeah,
need some sort of companionship. Let's be honest, right?
yeah,
We gravitate towards that, but I also don't want to depend my whole livelihood on one human being, right? Because things in life
yeah,
happen. So important for women to be able to have their own finances and have the literacy and how to manage their lives. And I mean, there's more to life than just being a wife as well, right? And I think
yeah,
that's something that's been very conflicting to me. I don't think there's anything wrong with being just a wife or being just a stay-at-home mom either. I did that for a year and a half, right? But I also realized that I wanted more out of life. And it's okay to want more out of life. It's okay to have dreams. It's okay to pursue your education. It's okay to be in all these roles. And I think as women, we're constantly being told like we can't do this, we can't do that, and it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating to deal with that, because like I feel like from the womb, like we have to fight just to be here,
Yeah.
and we should, right? Because we are the creators. Like we're the closest thing to God. Like we are able to create life that grows in our womb. So it's such a complex issue for me as well.
Yeah.
So that definitely resonates.
Few days back I had like read an article, and there was like written, you should not like, women violence should be avoided. It should not be something that should become, that has to be like, that is like, it should be something that should be like, like eradicated sort of thing. And the reason behind it was like, women is the one who gives birth to child, and what impact will the child get if that woman who is his her mother is treated badly, or some sort of those things. But it was so conflicting, and it was so disheartening to like to perceive that thing, because people are still like, people are still believing women are the creators, and that is why they should be respected, and they are. And there is like, still in there, still people think that women should not be harmed, they should not be, they should not be like badly treated. It's because they are mother. Like, people are not focusing their individuality at their as their own. So that is something disheartening that I came across when reading an article, and it was not something that I expected people to still believe uh, in
It
21st
is
century.
though.
Like
It, it's
what about
unfortunately it
you?
is
Yeah,
like that. No,
yeah,
it's, we femicide is very common in our side of the world. Um, I see it here. I've seen it. My parents are from Latin America. My parents are from Colombia. I was born in New
yeah,
York. But Latin America also has high rates of femicide, violence against women. I think Mexico has the number one spot, and I also Turkey as well. Those are two countries that have like the highest numbers of femicide in the world. And it's such a conflicting issue for me, because I don't understand how there can be so much violence towards the creators and the nurturers and
yeah,
the cultivators of this planet. It 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 dumbfounds me. I'm not saying that like all women are like perfect and good. There are good men out there, like
yeah,
100%.
yeah. I don't
Um, I'm
agree.
I'm not saying like every man is evil or bad, no, but it's just there's so much violence against women that it just, I ask myself like, why? Why are women sometimes so much hated and persecuted? Like, and this is not just from now. I mean, we're talking throughout the history of our planet. We see this persecution against women, and I ask myself, at what, like you said, like at what point does this stop? At what
Yeah,
point do we make change? Right? Is
yeah.
it that we have to be in positions of leadership to make that change? Um, this is why these sort of like conversations that we're having right now, like the talking text, are so important, right, because it motivates women to find their voice, empower themselves, and be in roles where they are leaders, where they are cultivating these ideals. Because if we allow men to just rule our lives, like we've seen where it's ended, and it's not. This is not it. Our society definitely has to change when it
Yeah.
comes to the treatment of women.
Yes, yeah, actually. I don't know what to talk more on the
No,
subject
I think
matter.
I think you've gone through the whole script, and I think you've done such an amazing job. I am in awe of how mature you are for your age at 21. I definitely did not have an ounce of your maturity. So my respects to you.
Thank you
Um,
so much. It means so much to me. Like,
I think I'll ask you one final question, and we can definitely wrap it up.
okay.
Do you have any advice for the women of today? And if you can tell yourself something in 10 years, what would that be? So then in
Uh,
10 years, you come back to this recording and said, I
uh,
said myself.
So the advice that I would like to give women and girls would be confident. Like that is what you need to be, right? So confidence is something that you have to have, and and that is something that motivates you towards what you wish to do in your life. And one thing, like I'm still struggling, like like I'm not that confident when I compare myself with so many other people, other women's, but but I would love to be one. And like confidence is something, maybe like it's something that helps you to speak out, like to voice out your opinion, your, like you feel like you whatever you speak is something that is worth for, that is valuable. So I would love to suggest everybody that it is very important for you to be confident. And yeah, just don't just settle that you are a woman. Dream big and achieve it.
I love that. I think that is a beautiful wrap up to this session. What do you think?
I'm so happy to have you here with me, and the level of confidence you have is something that motivates me to like grow it in myself too. And it was lovely talking to you, and thank you so much for your valuable insights on how
Definitely stay in
women.
touch. You have my email. So
Yeah.
when this comes out, I'll definitely be posting it through our social media. I think Unique and ITU as well. But stay in touch. If you need any help or advice, hit me up. You have my email.
Yeah,
Right.
okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so
dear.
much. Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye bye. Have a
You
good
too,
life.
honey.